Hey guys, so today we're going to be looking at the best champions for solo queue in patch 6.1. I'm going to be doing a roll by roll breakdown soon, but for now let's just take a look at the top 2 in each. Actually, okay, how about if we hit 5,000 likes and dislikes on this video, then I will do a top 5 for all 5 roles next patch. I'm probably going to get no sleep if we do it, but we'll figure it out and do it anyway. Anyway, starting with AD carry, we all know that's the best role by far, right? You should be used to that by now, honestly. So first up, Corki, really good damage, great poke, and the good thing is it's a mix of AD and magic damage. It makes it really hard to build against. Normally when you see a fed AD you think, okay, I'm going to build some armor and that will shut him down, but with Corki you need to build armor and magic resist to even stand a chance. The package thing that you pick up in base is just insane. It's so good at making comebacks. It does great damage, it slows, it sets up ganks perfectly, or even sets up 2v2 fights. The combination of Triforce and Essence Reaver has kind of tipped him over the edge, honestly. Like, the cooldown reduction is really nice on him, and then when we get into the mid game it actually gives him like a build path. Like, if you build crit, it's actually doing something now, so it makes his late game even better. Corki has more burst than most AD carries, he has more poke than most AD carries. It doesn't really make sense, honestly. It's like a best hybrid between a mid laner and an AD carry. So taking our top spot for the AD carry role is Ezreal. I've actually just done an in-depth video on this guy, so feel free to check that out if you want to see how to play him properly. He has really good damage from range, and I think that is probably the biggest thing. Like, he's very safe, he can farm and poke with his Q in lane, and it's the same for team fights too. He isn't the best in lane, but he can easily win it if he lands enough poke. And then when we get into mid game, he has these huge power spikes where he gets some items, and that's where the game is the most important right now in this meta. Blue build is insane for kiting at the moment, but even with the Triforce Essence Reaver build, it's still a ton of damage. It's actually very hard to stop him having an impact. In team fights, he's always going to be doing damage. Even if he's not very close and you zone him out a little bit, it's no problem because he's just going to fire his Q off. If you leave him untouched and you just don't focus him at all, then he's going to ruin your entire team. He's going to fire those Qs off anyway and auto attack on top of them. The really dumb thing, kind of funny actually, is even if his team loses the fight, he can often mop it up and make it even by kiting and stopping people push. Okay, so moving on to the mid lane, and the first one is Lux. She is just like the perfect kit for winning solo queue, except kind of the lack of mobility, I guess. That's the one thing she's missing. She has insane damage. She can catch people, she can one-shot people, and she isn't team reliant in the slightest either, which is great for solo queue. What I mean is she can like poke from really far away, she has a decent lane phase, she's pretty hard to gank and pretty safe too. But it's a mid game really, you just kind of take over, you catch a few people and you snowball the game without even having to actually team fight anyone. So that's the ideal, right? You catch people before fights, you blow them up, you just one-shot them, and then your team actually never has to go into a team fight. If you do, you still have a ton of AoE damage, and you have that shield as well, which layered over your entire team is really useful. She can struggle a little bit against high damage assassins, which is why she's the second choice here for me. So taking the top spot, Ahri. What a surprise, right? Ahri at the top? No way, that's never gonna happen. She hasn't been good for ages. In case you didn't get that, that was just some lovely sarcasm. She's been so good for so long, and I don't want to talk about her anymore. There is just really nothing wrong with her. Like, she has amazing damage, a good lane phase, good mid to late, and can burst people. She can do persistent damage in team fights. She can even catch people with her charm. She was already strong in season 5, like she's been a staple for a good long time now, but she's done really well out of the new season too. Like, Thunderlords is great on her, new item changes are really good too. Even the meta is good for her, like nothing is bad. She can do well against both control mages and assassins, so there's basically no downside to picking her. I guess really the biggest strength right now is that she's so good at roaming and snowballing the game. She can gap close insanely well into a lane and catch people. Like, by the time you see her on a ward, she's probably ulted in and charmed you anyway, and she only needs a few items to really pack a punch and start to one-shot people. Moving on to the jungle, taking our second spot is Elise, and this is kind of a new entry because of the new jungle item. The new AP jungle item, Runic Echoes I think it's called, really helps her out. It gives her a ton of damage and even better clear as well. She's kind of like an AP version of Lee Sin really, if you want to think about it like that. She has really high pressure, good clear, and really good ganks too. Elise doesn't have the best AP scaling, which is why you shouldn't just build flat AP on her, but she has really high base damage. It basically just means that she really benefits from Magic Pen more than anything else. And the good thing is you can also build tanky and still do a butt ton of damage because of that base damage. She's kind of like an anti-carry right now, especially anti-AD carry, which is why I hate her, but she's just very hard to deal with. Like, really high damage damage, and even has a gap closer to get onto you. She has good poke with her spiders, which is especially good when you're sieging towers, and does percentage health damage. She kind of fits into any comp really. Taking the top spot for the jungle is going to be Graves. I'm actually releasing a video on this guy this week, so I don't want to include too many spoilers, but basically he is just insane. Your Q does insane damage, especially when you're next to a wall. It can like almost one-shot someone. It's crazy. Your jungle clear is really good. Like your E helps with it. You have the pushback with your shotgun. Like basically in a nutshell, you take no damage while you're clearing if you do it properly. The change to smoke screen was actually really nice too. Now you can't see out of it at all, and it's really good for team fights or even just ganks as well. I think the biggest thing is honestly just how much burst he has going into the mid game. He can clear really fast, he ganks well, so he's almost guaranteed to like get ahead or at least be strong and have some items to do some damage. Season 6 has also been really good to him, just the item changes in general, because he works so well with armor pen. Like he has very high base damage, so armor pen is really good on him, and the new items have a lot of base armor pen attached to them, like Ghostblade and Maw of Malmortius, which boosts his damage even more. Malphite is actually really good in lane. He stacks armor, which gives him even more damage, and I definitely think he's underrated in lane. Like people underestimate him and end up dead. He's very good versus AD teams. Actually, that's an understatement. He's amazing against AD teams, and he's still pretty useful against AP mid laners just because of how much health he has. Carry laners are becoming like way more popular right now, which only makes Malphite an even better pick. The only way a carry laner is going to beat you is if they get ahead early, so if you don't screw it up, then you'll be fine once you have some armor. He has really good engage with his ultimate, which is fantastic for solo queue. Often the team engaging is the one that comes out on top. Grasp of Undying is just generally a really good thing for tanks right now, and he's kind of pretty easy to play actually. You kind of kill your opponent in lane, you roam around, and he has a very high impact naturally. I'm going to do something a bit different with the top lane. So basically there are two different playstyles, right? You have tanks and carry laners, so I'm going to give you one of each. Malphite is definitely the overall best top laner right now, but Fiora is kind of somewhere in the top 5, but she is the best carry laner. She's good at dueling, she wins most 1v1 fights, and part of that is because she has such crazy sustain with her ultimate. The reason she's so good for solo queue right now is because once she's ahead, she stays ahead. Like she's very hard to escape, she's very hard to kill with her riposte. That's the thing that blocks things, by the way. She's very mobile, she's kind of like a mix between a fighter and an assassin, and she just does so much damage. Right now it's good because she actually has a chance to beat tanks top lane, which is more than most carry laners, but even if she can't, she can farm and group mid game. The one downside is she doesn't really have much poke though. She's kind of like a Riven actually. If you sit back and do nothing, you're probably going to lose because you'll just get bullied, but if you pick good fights, then you're probably going to win. You do have a ton of damage. So same with the tops. Actually, I shouldn't probably say that. Same with the top laners. I'm going to give you a carry support and a supporty support. So for a proper carry support, I guess there's no one better than Blitzcrank. He's about as all-in support as you can get really. You either go hard or you go home. First thing is even Foxtrot can play Blitz. If he can, then so can you. Natural lane pressure with his hook. People are afraid of it, and it just kind of lets your AD carry farm. Everyone knows this, but your hook can just gift kills to your AD carry, and part of that is because you have a surprising amount of burst damage. Frost Queen's claim is pretty crazy on him actually. Like you slow people into a hook and you do more damage. You're kind of more squishy, but still it's a lot of fun. Mid game he can have a really high impact. He can turn a lost game around with a god hook or just snowball the game by catching people to start a fight. He's very hit and miss because, well, you either hit or miss your hooks, so in theory you could just do nothing the entire game, but likely you'll have a really good impact. Nami is basically the best of both worlds. Her entire kit can be offensive or defensive. Your heal is actually good poke and sustain. It kind of works both ways. It helps even the worst AD carries get through the lane phase. She has good disengage and good engage with her bubbles or her ultimate, and Nami is actually very irritating to play against as an AD carry. She can bully in lane really well. Most of the time you're going to come out of lane either ahead or at least even, which transitions into a really good teamfight impact too. She has her ultimate, her bubble, her heal, her auto buff. Like all of those things can be really useful in a team fight. Because the lane phase matters so much more now, especially in bot lane, Nami is going to be one of the best picks honestly. Unlike most of the other defensive supports like Janna for example, she can actually have a more proactive impact in the lane and help to win it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, share, and I'll catch you in my next video.